Good evening. Welcome to the City of Sugar Land Council meeting for Tuesday, April the 16th. A little bit about our agenda tonight. In a minute, I'm going to give the invocation, and that's going to be followed by the pledge to the nation's flag and the Texas flag. And we have some volunteers here with us, and they're going to come up and help us with the pledge. Following that, we've got 3 recognitions, and we're going to go through those 3 recognitions, and then we'll move into the regular agenda. So if you all would please stand right now and join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the blessings that you've bestowed on our staff in this great city. Father, we ask that you would watch out especially for our staff, our police, our fire, our EMS, and our citizens. We ask that you'd watch out after those that protect us worldwide: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, our special forces, those men and women that give their lives so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have in the greatest nation in the world. Father, we ask that you'd give us wisdom tonight, and that the decisions that we would make on this council would be pleasing to you. I ask this in your Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. And now if I could get the volunteers from Keep Sugar Land Beautiful, if you could come up and introduce yourselves, and if you lead us in the pledge.
How's it going? My name is Christian Eubanks. I'm the environmental manager, and we're here to do some Earth Day presentations, but I will introduce 2 members of KSLB. We have Meg and Manav.
Anything that y'all want to say? Start with the pledge?
Was not planning on doing the pledge, but I will.
You are now.
All right. Bear with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance. One state, under God, one and indivisible.
Kind of fooled you, didn't I?
They've changed that one up.
Thank you all. Our first recognition is, and I'm going to ask them, Carly, I think you're going to introduce them one by one. But for those of you that don't know, we have served Sugar Land. What makes our city different than other cities is we have volunteers, and those volunteers last year put in around 13,200 hours. That's the equivalent of $420,000 worth of volunteer time. Every year, every department, and these volunteers are spread out across all the departments. Those departments get to nominate the Volunteer of the Year. Many of these folks have been nominated multiple times. Some of them have served for decades. So tonight, I'm going to ask Carly to come up, and we're going to introduce them. And then we're going to have a gigantic photo. We had one, but we want to do one in front of council. So, Carly.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so first off, the 2023 Volunteers of the Year are Brenda Fry from Municipal Court. Come on up. Bonnie Finnegan, nominated by the Animal Shelter. We have the Texas Master Naturalist Coastal Prairie Chapter. We have Kevin Peters, Shannon Westphier, and Shree Nath, and they were nominated by our Parks Development team. We have Terry Ball from the T.E. Harmon Center and the Parks and Recreation crew over there. We have Ricky Rayborn from Economic Development.
Ricky almost got away, guys. Carol got him back in.
Maria Sujith, she was with our People and Culture. Unfortunately, she had to step away. We have Richard Taylor from our police department. And Meeta Patel from fire. Thank you guys for everything you do for our community and our staff here with the city of Sugar Land.
So can we get the council members down here? Our next recognition is for Earth Day. Kristen, I'm going to get you to come back up, our environmental manager, and let you introduce our guests, and then if you'd say a few words about what Earth Day is.
Thank you. Again, my name is Christian Eubanks, the environmental manager. We've got two members of the KSLB Youth Advisory Board here with us. But yeah, just tell you a little bit about the Earth Day event. So Utilities and Parks Department, along with Keep Sugar Land Beautiful, will be hosting our 14th annual Earth Day event. It'll be this Thursday, April 18th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Smart Financial Center Plaza. This is part of the Party at the Plaza Earth Day, or Party at the Plaza Parks event series. So we'll have multiple vendors on site to inform residents and members there about various ways to be more environmentally aware, as well as to entertain. We'll have multiple vendors on site for food and drink. We'll also have, we're also going to have, what are we having out there? I'm good, I promise. Food and drink vendors out there. We're also going to have Green City Recyclers and Republic Services. So they'll be out there too. Republic Services will have their truck out there, which is really cool. They've added a lot of technology, so come check that out. We'll also have face painting, and we'll also have live music. So we'll also have multiple city departments out there who will be able to inform y'all and discuss various topics such as water conservation, stormwater pollution, and recycling. So we'll also have Jack Golden, who is an environmental entertainer. He's very skilled and experienced, so that'll be a lot of fun. So make sure and bring kids out. It'll be a good time. Again, this is 6 to 8 p.m. So we've got, again, our two members from KSLB to tell us a little bit more about it and to reiterate some of the times.
Okay, sorry. So I just wanted to talk to you about what the KSLB booth will have. So for our booth, we're going to be teaching you about reducing your waste by teaching you how to make old t-shirts into reusable tote bags. So if you want to learn or you're very interested in those topics, you should really come to the event.
Yeah, just to reiterate what was said before, it will be April 18th, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Smart Financial Center Plaza. Make sure you guys come out to celebrate Earth Day. Thank you.
And then introduce yourself. Your name.
I'm Manav, and I'm a part of the Keep Sugar Land Beautiful Youth Board.
I'm Meg, and I'm also part of the Keep Sugar Land Beautiful Youth Board.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And now we're going to have another special recognition, and that is for our municipal court certification, and it shall be handy. And I'm going to ask Kendra Beverly. Kendra, if you'd come down, and introduce Shelby, and then we've got Pat Riffle. I think she's here also.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, Pat, come on down. Shelby, come on down. So Shelby is our compliance specialist, and she's being recognized tonight. And I'm going to hand the mic over to Pat, and she'll tell you a little bit about her certification.
That was quick. You didn't have much to say. Thank you for having me back again. If you all remember, I was here not long ago with another one of your staff. I can tell you before I even begin, this is like number 8 for the city of Sugar Land. You are now the only city with 4 on-staff level 3 certified municipal court clerks. So. My name is Pat Riffle, and I'm the Director of Courts for the City of Friendswood, but I'm here to represent the Texas Court Clerks Association, where I serve as training and testing coordinator. I appreciate the opportunity to come again, and I appreciate all the work that your staff puts in so that they can invite me to come talk with you all about their recognition. Today we're here to recognize Shelby Handy. Out of approximately 3,000 court clerks in the state of Texas, Shelby is number 143 to have reached the certified court clerk recognition. Let me tell you about a little bit about what this takes. And Shelby and I were talking in the lobby, and she's like, that was so hard. It's a very long process. First, you have to get through levels 1 and 2, both which require a 4-hour testing process and 40 hours of a continuing education. So there's 8 hours of tests and 80 hours of education right there. So then when you walk into level 3, you're taking another 4-hour exam, but you're also reading 17 leadership and management style books. You have to write a paper which is close to a thesis, which you send to the state of Texas and Austin, where 4 people read your paper and send back what they call their journal, and there you go. You get all that done successfully, and you become a level 3 court clerk. Shelby's, keep going. Shelby's been with the city of Sugar Land for over 5 years and serves as compliance supervisor. But let me tell you, prior to joining Sugar Land, she worked for Fort Bend Court. She actually began her service to the local government in Fort Bend in the teen court program in 2006. She served as a teen court prosecuting attorney and a teen defense attorney, where she learned the court process and fell in love with the field. So Shelby started working on her level 3 approximately 3 years ago and just persisted to get it done. I can't say I've worked with Shelby over those years to help her with some of those tasks, and I can't say how proud I am that she just kept sticking to it. It's like, I'm doing this. And it was like, I know you are. There's never a doubt in my mind. She did that rigorous course of study without blinking an eye and just kept to it until she got it done. So I just want to say, on behalf of the Texas Court Clerks Association, in conjunction with the Texas Municipal Courts Association and the Texas State University in San Marcos, that we thank you for your continued support, your education, and keeping yourself up where you belong. I also want to thank you all for the opportunities that you allow to your employees in the city of Sugar Land, because as I just described, none of this would have been possible if they didn't have your support. So we appreciate you all, and let's just double hear it for Shelby.
So as Pat said, Shelby has been with the city for 5 years, and she has demonstrated over that 5 years diligence and expertise in overseeing our collections program. When she joined us in 2019, we didn't have a collections program, so she basically built the program from the ground up. And over the last 5 years, she's collaborated with the judge to implement payment terms and prioritize the collection debts owed to the city, while also considering the defendant's ability to pay. That's not an easy feat. So her approach strikes the balance between fiscal responsibility and fairness in enforcement. She's done outstanding in her job, and while this almost, in her words, took her out, she persevered through. She really did, and it's not an easy feat. I've been through it myself, and it is a lot of work that goes into it. So I'm just so proud of you, Shelby, and I'm so proud of the faith that you kept through the process, and just your ability to achieve this. And also on that note, with us being the first court in the state of Texas. There's over 900 courts in the state of Texas, municipal courts in the state of Texas. We are the first one to have 4 certified municipal court clerks, and I just think that's a huge testament to our dedication to excellence. That comes from the top down, the support from City Council, and so I just really want to thank you for your support, one, and then congratulate Brittany, Shelby, Jennifer, and myself as being the 4 who are certified and all the work that went into that, and I appreciate it.
So we do have a group of overachievers. And now I know you've got some family. If you could get the family, come on down. And let's get some pictures. Council member Mike, Meredith, you keep trying to get out. Come on down. Judge Landine, I know you're in the house back there hiding out, so come on down here. Yeah, I'm going to move y'all. I'm going to move y'all this way. Shelby, come on this way. Pat. There we go. Nicole, don't start on me. So in moving the agenda along, I forgot the Earth Day proclamation. And I noticed that Christian and his team, they bailed out. So I'm going to read it anyway, and then we'll get it to him. And it's the 54th Annual Earth Day. Whereas April 22nd, 1970 marked the first Earth Day, which was a call to action for every citizen, family, and public official to tackle a shared challenge and adopt laws on clean air and water. And where it is understood that Americans united in a common purpose can overcome any obstacle. And whereas Earth Day broadens the base of support for environmental programs and rekindles public commitment around the world through a broad range of events and activities, and whereas more than 1 billion people participate in Earth Day each year, and whereas the city of Sugar Land and Keep Sugar Land Beautiful will host Sugar Land Earth Day celebration on April the 18th, 2024, and encourage residents, businesses, and institutions to commit to a sustainable and green community. Nicole, I'll get you to come down so you can get the proclamation. See, I knew I knew you were going to get to pay for that. Thank you. Item number 2, public comment. I've got a number of people that have requested to speak. I'm going to call them, and you'll have 3 minutes. Our first guest is Ricky Rayburn. Ricky. Here. Yep. What do I do? Come on down the podium there, Ricky. Come on down the mic. That mic's on right there, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ricky Rayburn. I wanted to speak to the city council, and I was told I had 3 minutes, but I thought I only had 15 seconds of things to say. But in the meeting we had previously, people were reading my notes, and they added quite a few different things to it, so I'm going to try to include those. Coincidentally, this is right about the time I received my 2004 tax appraisal, so that's kind of coincidental. My purpose for asking to speak is to express, on behalf of my family and myself, our appreciation to the council, mayor, and all the people of the city of Sugar Land and what they have done and what they are doing for our city. I apologize for having to read my comments, but I was an accountant and by perception an introvert and do not like to speak in front of an audience. However, I feel so strongly about this and my gratitude to everyone in the city of Sugar Land for their development improvement that I want to formally express how I appreciate what they're doing for us. I was honored to be accepted into 3 programs, the Fire Academy, the Sugar Land Leadership Academy, and the Cadet Academy. Whoever thought of these programs deserves special recognition. These programs have helped me better understand and appreciate what a great city I have been the honor to live in and raise my family. I've learned so much about the city, and this has given me so much pride. Without exception, this represents the programs that are thankful for the mayor, the representative, and all the other city employees for their leadership and support. I also had the opportunity to volunteer for several departments, for example, Parks and Recreation, Eco-Development, and County. I heard the very positive comments in respect to the appreciation and leadership given by the city and the council. In my opinion, I received more from the city than the taxes I paid to live here. Somebody else wrote something in here. It says, I live in District 4, represented by Carol McCutcheon. In my opinion, Precinct 4, with her leadership, is the best in the city. I'm not sure who wrote that in. It wasn't me. Last thing I want to do is say thank you to the Sugar Land Legacy Foundation that I just made my personal contribution to today. I think it's a great thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ricky.
Thank you.
Ricky, I think that's kind of suspect who wrote that in there. I think I kind of know who that is. Our second guest is Charlene Avery. Charlene?
My name is Charlene Avery. I live in New Territory. Unaltered free-roaming cats contribute to the tens of thousands of cats and kittens that flood our shelter every year. An unaltered female cat can have up to 5 litters per year, potentially resulting in 30 cats within that 1 year. If there are 4 cats, you could potentially have up to 100. Through a successful community cat program, or CCP, or trap, neuter, return, TNR, we will see an immediate reduction in the cat population, as can be seen from our pilot program. A CCP also saves taxpayer dollars by reducing operating expenses and frees up space as well as resources. A CCP involves you mainly trapping feral cats, spaying or neutering them, vaccinating them against rabies or other common illnesses, and tipping their ears so they are easily recognized. They are then returned to their outdoor home to live out their lives. A colony caretaker then continues to provide food, fresh water, and adequate shelter to the colony cats and monitors their health. TNR is proven to be the least costly and most efficient way to reduce feral cat populations. It is also the only humane method. TNR is endorsed by numerous well-respected animal welfare organizations, including the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the Humane Society of the United States, and the National Animal Control. CCP programs are now being utilized throughout Texas and all over the United States. For the Sugar Land CCP to be effective, the public needs to know exactly what it is, and the benefits versus cons. Unless you have an area with 20-plus cats, most rescues and humane organizations won't come out, and if they do, they normally only come out once or twice. A CCP is ongoing, and cats require a dedicated caretaker and feeder, so it is imperative that the citizens help with this effort. The citizens will also know the cats in the area, those that need to be trapped or those that are actually owned. We want to ensure that any cats trapped after 24 hours are returned to exactly where they are trapped unless it is unsafe to do so. I believe that information regarding this program would help if it was distributed to the citizens. SLAS could offer regular in-depth educational sessions for colony caretakers and interested volunteers if they think that's feasible. Our shelter remains closed to intake due to overcapacity. Implementing a CCP now is critical. The shelter needs the community's assistance to make this program effective. I'm looking forward to continuing my work as a 10-year-plus dedicated community cat caretaker and helping our city reduce the cat overpopulation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Charlene. Our next guest is Michelle McKeska.
Good evening. I am here once again to ask this council to draft a permanent ceasefire resolution for Gaza. The silence from this council on this issue, to me, speaks volumes. Silence, in its way, is its own kind of violence. Back in 2020, during the Black Lives Matter movement, the church that I then attended chose to remain silent, to not speak out against racial violence, even though my son, a black child, was a member. My own concerns were brushed off and silenced. I learned a valuable lesson then. The people I thought were my allies cared more about wealthy donors than their principles. It was an awakening for me, and now history is repeating. Palestinians were some of the first allies to the Black Lives Matter movement, giving advice to protesters for how to treat their eyes with milk after being shot at with tear gas. The Palestinians had already learned what it was like to experience state violence. They saw the oppression of black people here as a mirror to their own apartheid. So now we are speaking for them because it is the right thing to do. I am asking this council to find its courage to stand on the principles that I know you espouse. No one wants children to die from indiscriminate bombs. None of you believe that starving people to death is moral. So say it out loud, clearly, and in writing. It matters. It mattered to me and my son back in 2020, and it matters to the citizens of Sugar Land now. Thank you.
Our next guest is Sammy Risby. And if we could, in the audience, no clapping, please. We'll keep decorum here. People can come up, speak. You'll have your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hello, City Council. My name is Samiha, and I'm a recent graduate from the University of Texas at Austin. Unlike many Gazans and Palestinians my age, I have had the privilege to finish my studies without experiencing the devastation of my university being bombed, the loss of peers and professors due to genocide, or the constant fear for my own survival. As of March 30th, the education cluster estimates that 87.7% of all school buildings in Gaza have been damaged or destroyed. Every university in Gaza has been destroyed. Almost 90,000 college students are being deprived of their education due to mass death and destruction. Today, I am here to share the story of Mara, a 19-year-old university student in Gaza, as reported in Al Jazeera on International Women's Day. Mara says the war has stripped away her sense of femininity and thrust her into a role she never imagined. I go out at dawn to stand in line in front of the bakery to bring bread to my family of 9 people. It is a similar story for all the other women and girls she knows here. The war forced us to abandon our nature. Sometimes I go to the bread line without washing my face because of the lack of water. Before the war, Mara says she was like the other girls, taking care of herself and not required to do harsh chores. I brushed my teeth, groomed myself, listened to music, went to university and learned photography. Now all my dreams have vanished. Despite these changes, Mara still clings to her dream of completing her studies and becoming a photographer. I advise girls to never give up on their dreams. She says, "My life has been forcibly altered beyond recognition. I yearn for the girl I used to be before the war." Mara's story is just one of many from Gaza. As we gather here today, let us not forget the countless young people like Mara who are struggling to pursue their dreams amidst unimaginable trauma and adversity. It has been 6 months since the start of the genocide. It's been 7 city council meetings since we started coming and asking you all to please pass a ceasefire resolution. We must stand in solidarity with our Palestinian siblings and call for a permanent ceasefire. Thank you.
Our next guest is Alyssa Mishi.
Good afternoon, Mayor Zimmerman. I'm not sure if you recognize me outside of my Taekwondo uniform. My husband says hello.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
All right, so before I continue, this is about the ceasefire in Gaza. My husband is a Gazan who immigrated here. He is a citizen. Before I continue, I want to say I studied at Ort Brada College in Carmiel in Israel. I interned with the Israeli Antiquities Authority, and I've helped excavate synagogues over in that area. My husband's family is still, most of them entirely in Gaza. My brother-in-laws, Jamal and Atef, used to be very jolly, fat, Santa Claus-looking fellows. Famine is not a diet plan, but unfortunately that is the one they are on right now. As far as immediate family members, we have lost 9. Extended family, we're up to 30. And neighbors and relatives, we are at over 100. My husband sits and watches Al Jazeera and sees people being pulled out of the rubble, and he says, "I went to college with that person. That person owned the corner store. That man there pulling his dead children out of the rubble, that's my neighbor." I'm counting up the amount of damage, the money that I'm gonna have to send back to help our family rebuild. We're coming up towards $100,000, and the only reason it is that low is because the cost of living is so much lower in that part of the world. The amount of damage here, we're talking about tens of millions. Homes, businesses, farming, our trees have been cut down again. I said, it is only getting worse. I said that I have family members that have been detained and tortured. My nephew Wissam was held with 20 other people after leaving Al Shifa Hospital on the first raid. He's an employee there. The person operating the tank near the vicinity tried to run all 20 of them over with the tank. Thank God, and I'm saying this in the sense that normal people, normal good people do terrible things under the right conditions. But thank God someone in that unit, the commander, stood in front of the tank and wouldn't let him do it. So instead, they just left him there naked. That's how they stood in the cold, in the dark, and we had no idea where he was. Until he walked home being followed by another soldier, being told, "Oh, your family, they're, I can't even repeat it. I hope they rape your sisters. I hope they do this to you." It didn't happen, but the fact that they said that, I said generally good people do terrible things under the right conditions. And I'm telling you, the guy who stood in front of the tank, that soldier, my mom's church in Virginia prays for him every Sunday because he is a good man who has done better than the average person would do under those conditions. And I'm asking you for a ceasefire so my family can rest, my family can eat. And so that man, that blessed man who stood in front of the tank and said no, can go home and be with his family and not get called up on reserve again. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest is Kevin Lipsum.
Hi, my name is Kevin Lipson. I'm a resident of Sugar Land. I'm a lawyer in Washington, D.C., Texas, and the state of Maine. And that was obviously a very moving comment. And as people, we are obviously moved by what happens in Israel and in Gaza. But I think sometimes it's important to separate fact from emotion. So I'm going to take my time to elaborate on a couple of facts. The facts are that there was a ceasefire on October 6th. And on October 7th, 3,000 infiltrators came across the border from Gaza and murdered 1,300 Israeli civilians. They raped, murdered, dismembered, abducted, and burned families. I was there 2 weeks ago on the Gaza border with my wife, and I can attest to it from a first-hand perspective about what the damage is that was done. So I'm sympathetic, but I also know where the responsibility lies. And the responsibility lies with those that have caused the damage and created the war, and that is Hamas. Rather than being liberators of Palestinians, they are the victims. They create victims among Palestinians. And if you think I'm elaborating, the reason why facts are so important, I would urge you to look at Article 7 of the Hamas Charter. Article 7 of the Hamas Charter contains a hadith. That hadith suggests that it is imperative for all Muslims that adhere to this to kill Jews wherever they are. This is not an issue of territory. This is not an issue of real estate. If it were an issue of real estate, it would have been resolved years ago. This is an imperative among Hamas and its supporters, which are many Gazans. The latest poll suggests that 87% of Gazans and Palestinians on the West Bank support Hamas. The imperative among those people is to kill Jews. So despite what you hear about the notion that this is to some for the restoration of some territorial award of national aspirations of the Palestinians, unfortunately, that's not what it is. And if you need proof of it, all you have to look at is the placards which call rape is resistance, babies are occupiers too, gas the Jews, and globalize the Intifada. Those are genocidal calls for the death of Jews and nothing more. Now, in the 20 seconds I have left, let me just suggest that the notion of a city council of Sugar Land passing a resolution on a foreign policy issue, I haven't read your organic documents, but I would have to guess that it would be ultra-virus and not something that a city council in Sugar Land should be undertaking. In any event, I urge people to look at facts, not emotion, and the responsibility for all of these deaths and all of this hardship lies with Hamas. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next guest is Noreen Mohammed.
Good evening, City Council. There is a lot I am feeling after hearing that public comment, but I'm gonna focus my energy on redirecting our thoughts to something that was on the agenda today and how it relates to the world. I applaud City Council for honoring Earth Day on the agenda, but I wonder if anyone has actually reflected on what it's really about. In the agenda, in your own words, you wrote that the part of the mission of Earth Day is to encourage respect for life on Earth. Respect for life on Earth. That's everyone's lives. Our taxpayer dollars have gotten involved in a foreign government and have killed 35,000 innocent people. I wake up to images of 1.3 million civilians who are displaced. They're being deliberately starved and tortured, children with their limbs blown off, and others who are living off boiled grass and animal feed. Is this respect for life? According to the UN Environment Program, the heavy bombardment in Gaza has contaminated the soil and groundwater. The air has hazardous chemicals and asbestos from collapsed buildings. Is this how we're respecting our Earth in 2024? By staying silent and refusing to call for a ceasefire during the biggest human rights crises of our time, are you implying that you only respect life in certain regions of the Earth? Is this your legacy as representatives of a diverse population in Sugar Land? Mayor Zimmerman, I am born and raised in Texas and a longtime resident of Sugar Land. I've rubbed shoulders with you at neighborhood barbecues, and you have served Sugar Land honorably for years. You have made it a safe and welcome place for all of us to raise our families. So please don't let us down now. Muslims and pro-Palestinians in our city are being discriminated against and painted as antagonists. All we want is people to live and to have the food and aid that they need and deserve. Before this gets out of hand, show us that you really represent all of us. Be a leader in Greater Houston that leads the way for others to stand on the right side of history. I will end with reminding everyone of our deepest core beliefs as Americans. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The world is watching. I ask all of you to stand up for our values as Americans and vote to pass an immediate and permanent ceasefire resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest is Anam Ratani.
Hello, my name is Anam. I'm a Sugar Land resident, an educator, and a mom of 2 beautiful children. This is my first time ever speaking publicly like this, but I felt the urgency to speak out and stand witness to the brutality of the genocide in Gaza. My heart is bleeding for the innocent children being starved to death and massacred as we speak. I have 2 young children and can only imagine what young mothers like myself are going through trying to survive and find food for their kids. This genocide has been especially devastating for the women and girls in Gaza. According to UN Women, 6 months into the genocide, 10,000 Palestinian women in Gaza have been killed, among them an estimated 6,000 mothers, leaving 19,000 children orphaned. Women who have survived Israeli bombardment and ground operations have been displaced, widowed, abused, and are facing starvation. This devastating differentiated impact continues to make the war on Gaza also a war on women. More than 1 million Palestinian women and girls in Gaza are facing catastrophic hunger with no access to food, safe drinking water, functioning toilets, or running water, creating life-threatening risks. Access to clean water is especially critical for breastfeeding mothers and pregnant women who have higher daily water and caloric intake requirements. It is also essential for the ability of women and girls to manage their menstrual hygiene with dignity and safety. As our local elected officials, we are pleading with you to recognize the humanity of these women and children and to draft a ceasefire resolution that stands up against these human rights atrocities. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest is Zusair Syed.
I'm a Pakistani American who has lived in this community for 12 years. I can't say anything here that hasn't been said before, nor do I have any magical words to awaken your hibernating conscience. I'm here because every day hundreds of children are being starved in a genocide that is sponsored by our money and is further emboldened by our inaction. One of the toughest conversations I've had with my son is having to answer him on the question he asked about what is happening in Gaza. Why are these homes being destroyed, he asked me. Why are the children being killed? Why are they being starved? And why isn't anyone doing anything about it? He researched and told me this, and I share it with you, that death by starvation is one of the most painful ways for a human to die. The victim does not have the energy left to even scream or cry from the pain that they're going through as the body starts consuming itself. Imagine that. They are doing this to children. They are doing this to children. Now I want to ask you the message you're sending to kids here today, the future of this community. That if you are in a position of power and you come across the news that thousands of children are being killed, and the first thought that comes to your mind is whose children are being killed and who is doing the killing? Is our ability to empathize with human suffering is contingent or is depending on something else? Aren't all children our children? Let me answer that for you. If your response to Israel killing Palestinian kids is different than your response to Russia killing Ukrainians, and I hate to say this, this makes you a hypocrite. Your humanity is conditional. You are human when it's politically convenient. And let me also say what you may have a hard time admitting openly, and this is by your actions. All human lives are not equal to you. The life of an Israeli is more valuable than the life of a Palestinian, and this is not breaking news. My question to you is, how much more valuable? Is it 10 times more, 100 times more, 1,000 times more? How many children must die further before we say enough is enough? How many innocents? Is 34,000 enough? We should have called for a ceasefire months ago. And I leave you with this last question, and I believe as our representatives, you owe us an answer to that question. How high does the number have to be before your humanity of convenience overpowers your political cowardice? How high does this number have to be? Thank you.
Our next guest is Mai Asani.
Hello, my name is Mai Kasani, and I'm a 16-year-old high school student. I'm here today to talk to you about the tragedies that are happening in Palestine right now. But first, let me tell you about my connection to Palestine. I'm half Palestinian, and I've always made sure people knew where I was from. I've been going to protest for Palestine for as long as I can remember, and I go still to this day every chance I get. My mom is Palestinian from Gaza, and she has a lot of family that are still in Gaza as this genocide is happening. We don't hear from them much, and when we do, it's often not good news. As representatives of Sugar Land, this genocide should affect you too. A large part of Sugar Land's population is Muslim and Arab. However, this doesn't mean that issues in Gaza are only Muslim issues. Gaza has a prominent Christian population as well. Israel has not only targeted mosques, but also churches. Therefore, this genocide should affect us all. You are our voice. You will hold the power to make change, even if it's small change. Now, if I'm as young as 16 and I can see that what is going on is wrong and a genocide is being committed, then shouldn't you be able to realize that too? More than 36,000 Palestinians have been killed, and in comparison, that's almost double the size of the Toyota Stadium capacity. More than 70,000 have been injured. In comparison, that's nearly the same capacity as the Texans Stadium. And over 8,000 have been marked as missing in the past 6 months. Mostly kids and women, by the way. You don't need to be Palestinian to realize that this is a genocide. You just need to be human. Ceasefire now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next guest is Inshira.
Okay, I want to remind everyone that in the end, justice will come from the people, not by laws, not by rules, not by politicians, but by us, the people. So I encourage you all to keep moving, keep speaking, and stay strong. which is what brings me here today. As a history educator, it is important that we acknowledge our past so that we can help form a brighter future for tomorrow. I know that it might be hard to hear that our quaint city of Sugar Land was built upon the brutality of forced convict labor, or in other words, continued slavery with a new name. We know that after emancipation, many Black people in Texas were leased to private companies who brutalized them under very inhumane conditions, right here on Sugar Land's sugar plantations. We know that archaeologists have unearthed evidence of dehumanization in the remains of these convicts, evidence of gunshot wounds, misshapen bones from back-breaking labor, heat strokes, and malnutrition. We know that the damage done to the Sugar Land 95 can never be reversed, but what we have the chance now to do is not repeat our ancestors' mistakes and to make sure that the lessons learned from them from the Sugar Land 95 do not go in vain. Acknowledging the horrors of our history is an important part of our community's growth as we are stronger together. Learning from our past and not allowing the same dehumanization of others to repeat itself is one of the ways that we can honor their legacy. I know you might be thinking, well, what does Sugar Land have to do with Palestinians halfway across the world? Well, it has everything to do with it. Palestinian people are an active part of Sugar Land's community. Here we are striving to memorialize and honor the Sugar Land 95, yet we hinder the freedom and justice of the Palestinian people. The massacre of a specific group of people is a crime against humanity. It is a form of oppression. This is not a conflict between Islam, Judaism, or Christianity. On the contrary, our books unite us. Quote, Allah does not love the oppressor, end quote, Quran chapter 3, verse 140. Quote, whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, but he who is generous due to the needy honors him, unquote, Proverbs 14:31. Quote, learn to do good, seek justice, and correct oppression, end quote, Exodus 1:17, second book of Torah. Something all of our faiths can agree on is that no more innocent lives need to be lost, no more oppression. Help us pressure our federal and state leaders to end the genocide by passing a ceasefire resolution, by asking for our dollars to be spent to help the world, not to destroy it. And I thank you for your time.
Our next guest is Amina Ishaq.
Hello, everyone. Yes, let's talk about facts and not emotions. The only current day genocide taking place right now is in Gaza against 2 million occupied people who have factually been occupied for over 75 years, whose land has been stolen by settlers who are not indigenous to the land. When people here make this a Muslim and Jewish issue, that is not facts. The fact is that the IDF is murdering Palestinian Christians and Muslims. It's an ethnic cleansing, not a religious cleansing. The fact is that Jesus was a Palestinian. I'm also here today to share the story of a fellow sister and mental health provider in Gaza. Amani worked as a psychotherapist in the Gazan Ministry of Health. Her mission was to provide support to patients processing the continuous traumas of living amid years of illegal occupation inside the world's largest open-air prison, now the world's largest open-air cemetery. But she also carries the heavy burden of protecting her own family. In every single moment, an eerie uncertainty surrounds us. I live in continuous fear of what could happen to my children. My primary responsibility is to offer unwavering support, but the sheer gravity of this duty is crushing. Amani is a mother of 4. She says, in the shadow of this war, the dreams and aspirations of my children have been condensed into a singular, fervent plea to survive. Pain and fear now dominate our lives. With her voice trembling, she stated, this is a conversation I never wish to have, yet I find myself trapped by never-ending thoughts, unrelenting nightmares, and a life of torment. She is also carrying a loss. Amani lost contact with Lamia, who was her best friend during the genocide. She recalls her as a vibrant, quick-witted, and resolute soul, and an embodiment of Palestinian women's boundless strength and dreams. They were working on their master's degree exams together and dreamed of securing a scholarship for a PhD program. When the IDF ordered 1 million people to relocate from northern Gaza in anticipation of the ground invasion, Amani sent messages to her friend via social media. But then she kept losing internet access. She recalled her last attempt to contact her friend. I posted it on social media, hoping that she would answer. Lamia, are you still alive? My heart is aching for you. As night fell on October 14th, a person who saw her social media delivered the devastating news. Lamia and her entire family have been entombed under the rubble of their home after it was hit by an airstrike. They tried to excavate her and her family, and they prayed for her survival. She did not survive. With her gone, I mourned the dreams we had woven together. Our shared vision of the future of all of it just crumbled into dust. Please hear their stories and open your hearts. We will continue to share their stories and stand witness for them because my God, your God, commands us to do so.
Our next guest is Sergey Garcia.
My name is Sarai Garcia, okay? So we've been coming here for about 3 months. I have several observations that I've made. And I just wanted to touch base with you guys on these observations that I've made. So none of you have had the courage to say a word. We've been coming for 3 months and explaining to you what's going on. None of y'all have said anything. But I have sat here and watched y'all give proclamations, let white people speak, and y'all spoken and had discourse with them. None of y'all have asked one question, not one question. Do y'all care? Do y'all care? Because these are brown babies that are dying. If they were white babies, would y'all care? Can y'all relate to anything that's going on? Because I have seen no emotion from you guys, and I just don't think you give a damn. So I'm gonna start with facts again. And let me see, let's start off with some facts here. So there have been more than 33,400 people in Palestine killed. Is that enough for the less than 2,000 Israelites killed, Israelis killed? Is that enough? Is that an equal exchange, sir?
Excuse me, ma'am. If you direct your comments
over 14,000 children have been killed, 76,000 have been injured, and 1.9 million Palestinians have been displaced.
Ms. Garcia.
Famine is setting in. And in about 75% of the population, simply because Israel would not allow humanitarian aid in. And for those that they do let in, they murder them as an example, okay? So these statistics are reinforced by the footage that we are seeing. We're seeing Israel's relentless barbaric massacre of civilian population with the complete destruction and the collapse of its healthcare infrastructure. 2/3 of the hospitals and over 80% of all healthcare clinics have been destroyed. More than 400 healthcare workers have been killed, along with more than 100 journalists. The destruction is enormous and beyond any degree of proportionality. What really strikes us is that we saw the difference between what happened with Ukraine and Russia and how the global community responded. They cared. So it doesn't seem as most of y'all, like I said before, care enough about this issue to even give a statement. But Dr. Hussein Abadu Safaya, who heads the Kamal Awan Hospital Pediatric Units, told Human Rights Watch on April 4th that 26 children have died experiencing starvation-related complications in the hospital alone.
Step away from the mic, please. A bit about protocol. Comments will be directed into the mic to the council. They won't be directed to people in the audience. And if we continue to have disruption, we'll recess and I'll clear the room. Are we clear? Our next guest is Jody Puri.
please.
Hi, I just got to nitpick on a couple of things. If you don't mind, I think you have the section that I'm going to speak about, which is for the animal section.
Yes, ma'am. I have it as agenda item 6A.
Thank you. Okay, so I know a few people, I don't do animal rescue so often. I do foster dogs here and there. But I have friends who do rabbit rescue. And one of the things I noted is that they said that no more than 4 rabbits are allowed. Well, many of these people have 2 of their own rabbits, and sometimes they have, oh, I'm sorry, baby, 3 or 4 animals that they're fostering or rescuing, and they end up with 5 or 6. It seems to be an arbitrary number without taking into account people who foster or rescue animals, because sometimes we'll have a larger amount than 4. Sorry. So do I need to repeat that whole thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
You go ahead.
So I have friends who do animal rescues, and including rabbit rescues. One of the things I noted in here, and I am nitpicking at it, is that you have designated that a person can have no more than 4 rabbits in their household. But if you have your own 2 or 3 rabbits and you've rescued or fostered 3 or 4 other animals, and there are not that many people who do rabbit rescue, you are then in violation of these ordinance. And I don't see exemptions or exceptions for people who are involved in fostering or rescuing animals. So I have a problem with that. The other issue I have is number 3/30. I don't have a problem with if they're coloring an animal and they're selling it, then they are in violation. 100% agree. But if you have a lot of people, no, sorry, he is still in training. Yeah. Stay. So a lot of people like to do, for lack of a better word, pageants. I hope you don't have a mouse here. But they will color their rabbits up like Barbie or whatever else based on the way this ordinance is written. Even though it's your rabbit and you're doing these kind of events with people where people color up their rabbits, they end up being in violation of this ordinance. I just feel like that's an unnecessary path, or it's not well written. I can understand you saying, organic or toxic, but this doesn't make sense to me. So the other issue I have is that we try to encourage dogs to stay with their mothers to up to 6 months. I look for people who I can adopt dogs at 6 months or tell people to purchase dogs at 6 months.
You'll need to wrap up, Jody.
Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
Is fine for me, but when you're telling me you can't have more than 4 dogs over the age of 4 months, you're actually harming the dog and how people should be adopting them.
Okay, we're gonna have to cut it off, ma'am. No, that's it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You can certainly you can certainly send us an email. You can send me an email, and you can certainly sign up, at a future meeting if this agenda item is on. Yes. We're going to take it up tonight. Thank you. We don't have anyone else signed up. We're going to move on now to item number 3, consent agenda. All these items will be taken as one item unless a council member wants to pull it. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by McCutcheon. Do I have a second? Second. Got a second by Ferguson. If you'll vote at this time, please. And it's a 6-0 vote. Councilmember Kermali is out tonight. Item number 4, ordinances and resolutions. 4A, first consideration. Consideration of an action on City of Sugar Land Ordinance number 2330, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sugar Land, Texas, amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Division 4 of the Code of Ordinances to add a dangerous dog renewal fee, an aggressive dog fee, and a sterilization fee. Amending Chapter 3, Article 2 of the Code of Ordinances by revising the dangerous dog provisions by establishing a community cat program and other amendments related thereto. We have with us our Animal Services Manager, Ms. Cindy King. Cindy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to review the first reading of Ordinance 2330 tonight with you. And to give a little history, on March 22nd, all Animal Advisory Board members were in attendance as we met and reviewed all ordinance revisions in detail. After explanations and detailed discussions, the ordinance revisions were approved as submitted for council approval. Tonight, we actually have several of our board members with us. I have Barbara Willey, who is chair. Marion Nixon is also here. And Jenna Ross is on her way. So I do have several of them here. And I believe Barbara would like to say a word regarding the advisory board.
Please. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm here representing the Animal Advisory Board's support of Ordinance 2330 as reviewed, revised, and approved unanimously by our board. We first reviewed this by subcommittee, then individually, then by special meeting to discuss and approve any changes. And those, again, were unanimously approved by our entire board. And if I could step out of Cindy's presentation for just a moment.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't often get to speak here before you, and I would like to commend the leadership by Cindy King and Jennifer Brown. I believe that I have witnessed exemplary leadership and I would say action from both of them over the time they have been appointed. I believe that the logical leadership abilities that I see and their ability to understand how to translate process and procedure into ordinance and scale approvals up and down are something that is necessary as we move forward. And I just want to say that I deeply support their efforts as we continue to move forward with our new animal shelter and continued improvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you and the board for your service.
So this evening, I would like to go through all the updates that we touched on during our meetings, point by point. So if there are questions or clarifications, we can do that through the end. But these are the points that we will be covering. So to start with, on 311, there were some definitions added, updated, and removed. We added aggressive animal, which adds public safety protection against unrestrained animals that attack properly restrained domestic animals or livestock. We also added several definitions explaining our community cat program, also known as a TNR, or trap, neuter, and release program, including ear tip is one of the definitions in here, and it ties into this program. The program also addresses sterilizing and vaccinating cats that roam in the community already. Our dangerous dog definition has been updated, and it's changed to reflect the actual definition within Health and Safety Code 822.041, which rules only against attacks on a person. It is not on an animal, which we had in there. So we have now reflects the same. We've added the Dunbar bite scale, which is a description used to investigate bites. And then we removed the vicious animal definition because the guidance is going to be covered under aggressive animal. Under provisions, which is 3.25, we updated languages that spells out the definition of minimum sufficient shelter and space standards to keep animals, to ensure that animals are treated in a humane manner. And 3.25A2 is also to ensure that food is uncontaminated. Pet shops or rescue organizations housing animals must maintain the health of their animals they care for by being able to isolate the animals exhibiting symptoms of contagious diseases or illness to prevent further spread of these diseases. We also have updated what a structurally sound shelter means as far as housing dogs, including that it must be large enough for them to stand, sit, and lie down in a natural position. (327), we added language to reflect the Health and Safety Code 821, subchapter E, and that provides regulations regarding restraint, which are now spelled out in regards to requirements if an animal is left outside restrained. And then we deleted that it cannot be left out restrained at any time. Community cat program establishes so that rescue groups or individuals can humanely trap, transport for surgery, have cats sterilized and vaccinated, and then return to their original location. Community cat caretakers must submit a letter of intent prior to trapping. They will provide all transportation for surgeries and pick up animals for return after their recovery. We have worked extensively with Best Friends and have extensive education materials that we will be able to share once we have approval to move forward with this program. For the dangerous dog section, we have added that they must be spayed or neutered within 30 days of that designation if they are not already. We have added that the owner must obtain liability insurance, and we have deleted that they must wear orange and yellow collars provided by Animal Services. The rest of those, the section will remain intact. (338) is now determination as an aggressive animal. We have added this section based on state law for dangerous dogs. It essentially mirrors the rules for state law for dangerous dogs, but this addresses unprovoked attacks by a dog on a person or a legally restrained domestic animal that causes injury or death, or if it commits an unprovoked attack that causes a person to reasonably believe an attack to themselves or a legally restrained domestic animal is imminent. Identifying the attack or an imminent attack is the start of the investigation process, but if deemed aggressive after an investigation, it will need to meet requirements set forth as with the dangerous dog. 338 identifies steps that will need to be taken by Animal Services along with an owner if a dog is deemed dangerous. Aggressive. (339) was previously investigation of bite or scratch incidents. We've just moved the numbering on that to 340. But the requirement for this will identify the requirement for and steps for noncompliance of the requirements of an aggressive dog. So it identifies the steps that you have to take if you have a dog declared aggressive, and then what happens if noncompliance, and it lines up with what dangerous dog does also. (340), as I said, the numbering has been updated. We've also added the utilization of the Dunbar bite scale to identify classification of bites, and addressing that the Animal Services will investigate level 3 or above bites. 345, which it talks about impoundment of certain animals. We have removed the requirement to wear rabies tags. Rabies vaccinations are still required by state. It's just a matter of not having to have the tag. The fee schedule is further clarified for owners who redeem their animals, including the fee if the animal is redeemed after the stray weight is up and it had time to get sterilized prior to redeeming. Reunification of animals during stray rate is priority for our staff. They search social media to find out they look to see if an animal was microchipped, and if the microchip doesn't have updated information, they will continue to do searches to try and find those owners. They will make daily phone calls, try to find next of kin if we can't find the owners, because reunifying the animals is the absolute best thing for the animal, the owner, and our staff. We have the wording has been removed that the judge may not order euthanasia due to space. For neonates, wording was added regarding reviewing an age-appropriate feeding schedule prior to euthanization of neonates as far as finding fosters. And then section I wording is updated from manager to management per our advisory board recommendation. The fees that will be associated with this, the dangerous dog and the annual renewal for dangerous dog, are already in place, and we've added the aggressive animal along with the renewal fee for that to be the same as dangerous dog. And if an animal impounded was not redeemed until after stray weight and after it was sterilized, the owner would be charged whatever we are charged as the city to get the animal sterilized, unless it was less than 6 months old, or if it had already been sterilized, which obviously we're not requiring sterilization if they get the animal before it's sterilized. So for clarifications, I just wanted to make sure that one of the things that came up last time was the reunification attempts and making sure that we get animals back to their owners. The advisory board did have discussion on extending the stray weight, but after a lengthy discussion regarding that, it was agreed to leave it at 72 hours for unknown owners and 120 hours for the owned animals. So the recommendation and next steps are going to be that animal service staff recommends City Council approval on the first reading of ordinance number 2330. Next steps would be the second reading of the ordinance on May 7th, and then there would be a notice of enactment for publishing descriptive caption in the official newspaper within 30 days of approval to enact the $500 fee per violation.
Questions? Stuart?
Thank you, Mayor. Cindy, I'm sorry, you said the E word, but I didn't quite hear what you said about it. Euthanize.
What about?
Well, you said there was a change, but I didn't quite hear what it was. Say that again, please.
Oh, on the, the judge can, let's see, the wording was removed that a judge may not order euthanasia due to space for a hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Suzanne?
Thank you. Cindy, because someone brought it up tonight at the podium, when we foster animals, is there an exemption? It does say 4 dogs of 4 months, 4 cats, a combination of 4 dogs and cats over 4 months, and I can't imagine having that many animals in my house. But what was the thinking behind that number? And this may be an advisory question. So how did you get to that number and why?
That number hasn't changed, so it has been there for at least 1.5 years. So I don't know where the number came from, to be honest. I mean, but when somebody is fostering, yes, we will, that's an option to be able to waive for fostering.
Follow up?
Follow up.
And thank you for answering that, because my next question was, if you're fostering, that does not apply, correct?
We can't, within a reason.
Within a reason, sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion? Motion to approve. Got a motion by Ferguson. Do I have a second? Second. A second by Lane. You vote at this time, please. And it passes 6-0. Thank you, council members. Before we move to the next item, I notice we have a scout in the audience. I apologize for not getting to you. I couldn't see you back there, but I see you now. if we could get a mic back there and you could tell us your name, your troop number, and then tell us the badge that you're working on.
I'm Daniel Marish from Troop 1000, and I'm working on the Communication Merit Badge. I have to come to a meeting and write down stuff on a council meeting.
Sometimes you get the wrong one, don't you? Thank you for coming. We're going to move now to item number 5, the workshop. 5A, review of and discussion on the Sugar Land Legacy Foundation 2023 annual report. Ms. Kimberly Terrell, our interim director of Parks and Recreation, and we have a special guest, do we not?
We do, absolutely. We have Mr. Sonny Sharman with us tonight as well.
Thank you, Kimberly. Go ahead.
Okay. Before I invite Sonny to provide the annual report, I wanted to extend our thanks and our gratitude to this board and all of the donors to the projects that have made such an impact to our Parks Department and for our community over the last 14 years.
Welcome, Sonny.
Welcome, Sonny.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
See what happens when you work for Legacy Foundation for 14 some years? You turn gray.
You get gray, huh?
I want to commend all of you for what you have been doing for the city. It's not an easy job. For the first time I'm noticing, it's probably the largest meeting that I've attended in 12 years. And we have to make some tough decisions. But fortunately, decisions you made to make this place better for all citizens, irrespective of who they are and what they do, I commend each one of you for that. And I appreciate your support. So, as you know, the mission of this organization is to somehow, some way, include all citizens to improve the quality of life for everyone, and allow people to leave legacy behind so they can be remembered for what they have done for this beautiful city. And it was established in 2010. It's funded by seed funding by the city and provided by the city of Sugar Land staff that we have. Kimberly at this time has done a great job. Our organization assists with the donations and identify the projects that improves the life enhancements and the quality of life in our city. Few of the projects that we have done, some of you have seen them. I'm showing some of the pictures over there. And to recognize some of them, universally accessible playground at First Colony Park, Eldridge Park trail improvement, public art sculptures in parks and Town Square Plaza, skate park ramp donation, Cullinan Park Phase 1, Veterans Memorial at Memorial Park, including Eagle Sculpture, Eagle Plaza, Remembrance Tower, Gold Star Families Memorial Monument, Honor and Remember Flag and Plaza. The project that we're still continuing on, which is the current project, is T. Herman Center donation. And that includes exercise equipment, back patio, and craft room, for which donations were given very generously by Drs. Allen and Antoinette Kramer, as well as the $30,000 donation from Ruth Hannigan in memory of Pat Matheny. Financially, we're very strong. We don't spend too much money. Our beginning funds for 2023 is $52,469. Donations in 2023 has been $3,408. And we've spent over $54,000 during year 2023 in various projects that I just mentioned. We received $30,000 from City of Sugar Land for operating expenses. Our operating expenses include only part-time administrator, which amounts to $20,799, and our administrative expenses are $491. The focus for our Legacy Foundation has been to continue to bring in more support from citizens as well as identify projects that are really so dear and near to all of us. One of which has been an issue that we put together to the city and talked about how we can improve it. So a consulting firm was hired, and we're working on their recommendation at this point, one of which was adding more board members. After looking at my before and after picture, I don't know if anybody would want to be on the board. Current opportunities for fundraising, Trace 4 Plaza Pavilion, we're looking at those projects. Animal shelter, I'm so glad those of you presented this, clearly states that we have a big need for that, to continue to improve upon that. And brick paver program, which is also something that we're about to finish after getting some more donations. I again thank each one of you for being so progressive in identifying needs of our citizens and helping them to complete those ideas and support them totally. So thank you, and I'm open for any questions.
Thank you, Sonny. Questions? Comments? Stuart?
Sonny, I just have a comment, which is that in many ways you are the Sugar Land Legacy Foundation, and I want to thank you on behalf of council and all the residents of the city and all the employees. Thank you for all the years of service you've given us, complete selfless service, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for your time. Have a great evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Kimberly. We're going to move on now to item number 6A, City Council Member Reports. William, start with you.
Mayor, I had the great opportunity 2 weeks ago to speak at the retirement of Lieutenant Mike Richards, who served our city for 26 years and in law enforcement for, I believe, 35 or 36 years. And I could not thank him and his wife and family enough for their service, just like I thank each one of our officers every day for their service to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Jennifer.
I believe it was last weekend, myself and William and Suzanne and Stuart, we all went to the American Legion Hall for their semi-annual barbecue cook-off, and it was very successful, and we appreciated all the service for our local veterans, and we support them in everything that they do. We all had a great time.
Stuart.
Thank you, Mayor. One of the things that I did, among many, is that I was privileged to be invited to an Eid open house at the home of Dr. Sim Shah. The weather was ideal. It was a perfect showcase for Sugar Land because he has a lot of friends from in the city. So hopefully we'll get some new residents for District 3, the best district.
Carol.
Thank you. Let's see, council members Ferguson, Jacobson, and I attended the Light of Hope in honor of Child Abuse Prevention Month, and it was just a really wonderful event that was held here in Town Square. And council member Watley and I attended the 26th annual Investment in Youth Luncheon, and these great youth got the opportunity to volunteer with different nonprofits and also apply to be awarded a scholarship. So it's really a wonderful program. And I attended the Boots and Paws Gala for Shelter Pets Advocacy Network, and it was a really great event.
Suzanne.
Thank you, sir. I normally do one thing, but I had a busy couple of weeks, so I'm going to go with 3 this time. The first is Lakeview Carnival. The school had a carnival at Lakeview, and I'm going to commend them on I had a lot of fun there. They let me play a lot of the games with the kids. I didn't break the line, but I did have a good time. So congratulations, Lakeview. Good job. The Sugar Land Space Cowboys, my husband and I, along with the mayor, and I think Stuart, we hosted the various small businesses in town and a few of the Fort Bend ISD candidates for Teacher of the Year. That was a great evening, although I think we lost pretty badly. I don't remember. And then the last thing I want to talk about is Walmart over in District 1 at Highway 90 and Highway 6. Stuart and I attended the opening, the ribbon cutting of the Walmart Healthcare Services which is an amazing new thing for our city. This is the 50th in the whole country, or in the whole country, and it's only the second in this area, and they are offering healthcare services at really deeply discounted rates for our citizens that don't have insurance or have a gap in their insurance. So if you need something like that, go over to Walmart and check it out. They've done a great job for our constituents, and congratulations.
Thank you, Suzanne. And I'd like to remind everybody that we have our Sugarland Arts Fest. It's the last weekend in April, and it's at Smart Financial in the Plaza. If you haven't been there, we've got a bunch of vendors that come in. They've got some, I know I always buy some jewelry for my daughter. Her birthday is the big 4-0 this year. She's not going to appreciate me saying that at the end of April. So I know that I'm going to get her some kind of a birthday present there, and I'd encourage all of you to attend. Item number 6B, City Manager Report. Mike.
Thanks, Mayor. Sometimes my job's really difficult and I have hard things to do. But the day I got to visit the Porsche dealership for the grand opening was not one of those days. I enjoyed steak and shrimp and lobster, and took one for the team, Mayor. But what a phenomenal facility, and they were really thankful for the city's involvement, but what a great asset for our community, and to see all of the owners kind of enjoying it. So representatives there, and that was a good time.
Great, thank you, Mike. That concludes our business for this evening.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn at 7:03. Thank you.